Shalom Akim, all praise and glory to Yahweh Bashem, Yahweh Shai, Bashem Rakakadash, double honors to the apostles of Great Millstone, and salutations to you Akim out there doing the work in truth and sincerity. And this is, hey, there is no justice in this kingdom for you Israelites. Now, yeah, they sentenced this Edomite bitch that murdered that Jake in his own home. And she's sentenced for murder. Let's get it straight. They didn't give her a lesser charge. They actually sentenced her, and the jury found her guilty of murder. They could have changed the charge to a lesser charge, but the jury found that, yes, she murdered that man, which, if you're not familiar with the case, which most Jakes are, most of you Israelites out there are familiar with the police officer woman that went into a black man's apartment and basically shot him dead. And her excuse was she thought it was her apartment and he was an intruder. But the fact of the matter is, this Edomite bitch went into a black man's apartment and murdered him. Let's get down to the nitty gritty of it. And the jury found her guilty. And you would have thought that was justice. However, they only gave this bitch 10 years. 10 years for murder. Like I said, the jury could have gave her a lesser charge like manslaughter or something like that. But they didn't. They found her guilty of murder. And they felt murder was the proper sentence to give her. So, after the sentencing, well, the sentencing is she got 10 years. That's what they gave her. It's 10 years. Now, the law of America, their penal code is if you commit any murder, you can get 25 to life, or you can get the death penalty. I mean, at the very least, it's 25 years to life in prison, or you can get natural life in prison, or you can get the death penalty. Somewhere around there. But understand that this Edomite bitch got 10 years. She can get out in 5 with good time. You know what I'm saying? So she essentially got 5 years for murdering a so-called black man. So, and this video is basically just based around justice. You Israelites will not get justice in Edomite's kingdom. No justice. And I got I really just got this one scripture. However, I'm going to go into the word justice and the word judgment. This is Genesis 18 and 19. For I know him, that he will command his children and his household after him, and they shall keep the way of Yahweh to do justice and judgment, that Yahweh may bring upon Abraham that which he hath spoken of him. So justice and judgment. In other words, matter of fact, let's just look up the word. Now, when you look up the word justice, let's go with justice first. H6666 Tazadak. Justice, interchangeable with righteousness. Righteousness in government. Judge, ruler, king, law, Davidic Messiah. Basically, the law of the Lord is righteousness. Truthfulness. So this is all justice. And when you look at the scriptures, it's interchangeable with righteousness, which we know we're not in a righteous kingdom. We're in a wicked kingdom. And of course, Esau don't believe in the Lord, so there's not any justice in him, And you scroll down, so shall my righteousness answer for me. Justice. This is all interchangeable. Righteousness and justice is interchangeable. Possessive for righteousness. You look at and in this kingdom, we have no justice. 2 Samuel 8 and 15, and David reigned over all Israel, and David execute judgment and justice unto all his people. Justice, righteousness, which also goes back to the law, statutes, and commandments. Righteousness, man. Justice, the right thing. The Lord rewarded me according to my righteousness, according to the cleanness of my hands hath he recompensed me. Righteousness, justice. And you can go on and on. There's many scriptures about righteousness and justice. Many, many, many scriptures about righteousness and justice as you scroll down. And like I said, like we already know, there is no justice in this system. Now let's go back and look for what is this? Justice. Let's look for judgment. Let's see if I know him. And justice is Tazadak. Judgment, Mashapat. Judgment, ordinance, judgment, act of deciding a case, place of court seat. So after you get justice, you rightfully convict someone. In other words, you have to do the judgment now. The process, procedure, or litigation, case, judgment seat, sentencing, decision, execution of judgment, time of judgment, justice, right. Basically, it's your sentence. Now that justice has, now that you serve justice, you have to have judgment with it, or it's not righteous if you don't have them both. That's why in many different scriptures it says justice and judgment. Justice and judgment. Do right. The former manner, the ordinance, the way you're supposed to do it. So is there justice and judgment in this Amber Geiger case? Hell no. She got 10 years for murder. What person has ever gotten 10 years for murder? Justice and judgment. We have no justice in this kingdom, man. No justice. I mean, you would think there is a show of justice in Esau's kingdom. You know, okay, this Edomite bitch is convicted of murder, rightfully so. And then once it comes for judgment time, she gets a 10-year sentence, 5 years good time. That's what this Edomite bitch get. Now, all you got to really do is think of all the so-called black males or Latino males that got, what sentences did they get for murder? You can look it up. Because most of them got death. And I was watching Tone Talks as well, and he had a real good point. This bitch is a police officer, meaning she had training. That don't mean that you're held to a lower standard when you have training. You actually held to a higher standard. Let's give an example. Us who are the hopeful elect. The men that's calling themselves men of the Lord, or hopefully the men of the Lord. The hopeful elect. Are we held to the same standards as you so-called Negroes, Indians, Latinos that don't know you Israelites? No, we held to a much higher standard. We are expected to do certain things because we know better. Now, when you're trained to do something, you're supposed to know better. In other words, you are held to a higher standard. Let me see. Let's look for this. Let me see. Luke 12:47. That servant which knew his Lord's will and prepared not himself, neither did according to his will, shall be beaten with many stripes. So, yeah, we're held to a higher standard because we know. So when you're trained to do something, you know better. So guess what? You're held to a higher standard. But this bitch is held, she got 10 years for murder. She knew better. She went into someone else's home. Imagine somebody breaking into your home. I don't give a fuck what their mind state is. So if a person was crazy and they thought that your car was their car, they can just open the door and murder you now and get less than 10 years a murder sentence? Is that justice? Is that correct judgment? No, it's not. And if you know better, yes, you're gonna get a harsher sentence. But they gave this bitch 10 years, and she's a now former police officer. She had the training, so to speak. But that's Esau, man. That's in this red man's kingdom. That's Esau's kingdom in a nutshell. You have no justice and no judgment in this kingdom. And then this right here is just the stupidest shit that yes, the dude's brother that was murdered, he gave the bitch a hug, and the judge gave this bitch a hug. Since when do they give hugs to the perpetrators? And I'm not the shining example of an Israelite man, and I've been to jail on several different occasions. I never got a hug from the fucking judge, man. I never got a hug from the fucking judge. For shit. And I'm sure most of the murderers, especially you Jakes out there, they ain't getting no hugs from the judge. This bitch murdered a man and she's getting a hug from the judge. And not only that, I mean, read the Amber Geiger was hugged by her victim's brother and a judge igniting a debate about forgiveness. And fuck that. You Edomites will not be forgiven, man. You got 1,000 years of slavery coming. There's justice and judgment coming from the Lord, man. I don't give a fuck how many coons you put up on your in your court system, or how many niggas you put up to giving hugs to trailer trash Edomite bitches on the police force. Judgment is coming, man. What is this? This is Jeremiah 49:12. For thus saith Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, behold, they whose judgment was not to drink of the cup have assuredly drunken. That's you children of Israel, you sons of Israel, you Negroes, Indians, Latinos, and the speckled bird around the globe. And art thou he that shall altogether go unpunished? That's what this bullshit is about. You Edomites wanting to go unpunished. So you got to get a hug from the niggas that you murdered. From the very judge that sentenced you with a light sentence. This is not even a slap on the wrist. This is a thump on the wrist, man. And then you got this dumbass nigga hugging this bitch after she done murdered your brother. And your brother is gone forever. But this bitch will be back out in 5 years. Art thou he that shall altogether go unpunished? Thou shalt not go unpunished, but thou shalt surely drink of it. For I have sworn by myself, saith Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, that Basra shall become a desolation, a reproach, a waste, and a curse, and all the cities thereof shall be perpetual waste. In other words, America is going to be destroyed. Basra was a chief merchant city of the Edomites in the past, if I'm not mistaken. And you can replace Basra for America. And you Edomites will be judged, man. You will have justice, judgment and justice. And there ain't going to be no niggas hugging you. Oh, I'm sorry that we have to put you in slavery for 1,000 years. No, we ain't sorry about that. That we finally getting justice and judgment, man. But anyway, I just wanted to bring that point up, 10-year murder sentence, 10 years. You murder a so-called black man. You murder a Jake, you get 0 to 10 now. But that's how it is in America. That's why we're looking for justice and judgment from Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. And with that, I give all praise and glory to Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rakakodash, double honors to the apostles of Great Millstone. Salutations to you brothers doing the work in truth and sincerity. Until the next time, Shalom.